Well, believe it or not, it came from America. I'm a grandmother and I'm in my 70s, but I was at the gym in an aerobics class where I met with another 80-year-old American grandmother who had been a vice principal teacher at a school. And I was telling her all about the Catholic Grandparents Association and how we met and what we did. And she said, "Do you have grandparents' days in schools?" And I said, "No, I never heard of that." She said, "Well, it was the most popular day in our school for many, many, many years, where the grandparents come and they meet the teachers and they see the children's work and they entertain them and they host them. And it's by far and above the most special day of the year. And I'm sure it would work back in Ireland." And so I thought, oh God, wouldn't it work? There was no Catholic Schools Week then that I can remember. I mean, I'm going back nearly 16 years now. And so I started it I went to a local school in Westwood and I spoke to the headmaster and I explained the idea. And we started the very first Catholic Grandparents' Days in schools ourselves. And it was fantastic. Grandparents came in their Sunday best. Children were ready with their traditional music and their songs and their poems. And the children entertained the grandparents and the grandparents entertained the children. And you could see immediately the generations coming together and knitting together and bonding and the pride between the two. You know, and then there were cakes and tea. And we had a Pope Benedict's Prayer for Grandparents, which had been written then. And that was recited. And it was just, you could see the benefits immediately of bringing the grandparents and the grandchildren together at school, because they'd been outside the doors in the morning, dropping them off in the gates, picking them up in the afternoon. This was their first opportunity to get into the school, to be part of their school life, to be part of meeting their teachers and seeing what they did. And it is now, of course, it's now, there's a Grandparents' Day in every school in the country. And we in fact introduced that grandparents idea in school after it was so successful in Ireland to many other countries, where it's now flourishing as well. I think it's vitally important for both the grandchild and the grandparent and the parent, because parents now, we all know, are really tight for time. You know, most parents, both of them are working. They're trying to fit in such a tight schedule with school and sports and work and all the rest of it. So having the grandparents involved, and I know that parents are the absolute primary caregivers and educators of their children. And the grandparents, you know, they are always there. And to help, to advise, to tell stories, to help with homework, to help with projects. I think the contribution that grandparents make to their grandchildren's education and life in every respect, physically, emotionally, spiritually, is of crucial importance in the formation and upbringing of a child. Well, in fact, I was talking to a niece of mine last night in Dublin, who's got a young child preparing for Grandparents' Day in school. And she said, "Oh, what a shame. It used to be a wonderful day when we'd all go and visit. But this year we're doing it on Zoom." But they were preparing at home prayers for their grandparents, little poems and prayers, all beautifully decorated with hearts, that they were taking into the school to be put up on the screen. So the grandparents were being invited to join by Zoom. And of course, it's tremendous for grandparents because it's really motivated them to get involved with new technology with the help of their grandchildren, of course. So it's nothing is impossible. And technology has made everything possible. And grandparents have embraced that technology because they know and they see it as a way of connecting with their grandchildren and their children. So thank God it's really worked in our favor. And hopefully next year we'll have our full physical Grandparents' Days back in school again. It's a fantastic title, because the one people that I know who live life to the full definitely are grandparents, and more so these days because we live longer, we live much longer. You know, we've all worked in our time, so we have more disposable income. We have more chances to travel. We have more chances to share more experiences with our grandchildren because we have more time. So we are the greatest living examples of how to live life to the full to our grandchildren. They love to come and visit me. You know, we have outrageous fun. We get up to the most devilish tricks and picnics and sleepovers, and we climb and we walk and we talk, and they see us living life to the full. And, you know, they love it, and they want us to live life to the full. And I want them to see us, and I want to see them seeing how a life full of potential can be lived right to the very end. And to be always doing good and always full of fun and always put your best foot forward. And that's what they like to see. When they come, they're motivated and they're enlivened and they're relaxed, you know, when the grandchildren come to see you, because you have the greatest gift of all to give them: time. So you've lived your life to the full, and now you're giving them your full time to make sure that they imbibe all the goodness and all the love and all the good things you want them to have. I think without having faith, it's not possible. No, without having faith, it would be very difficult for me to have lived life to the full, because I have relied on my life of faith to get me through the really difficult, challenging parts that every family in the world go through. So my faith, that's always given me hope, and I've learned from other people's faith, mixing with other grandparents and other parents, and just seeing how they cope with the most difficult situations. Faith is the essence of life. Faith is the energy that gives you life. I can't imagine what life would be without faith. But faith is a gift, and it has to be nurtured and nourished. And I think that's the other great gift. When you pass it on to your grandchildren, they don't even know you're passing on faith. You're passing on your goodness and your love and your values and your traditions, and you're creating the memories for them. And you're their faith, and they're your faith. You're in them and they're in you. And everything you have is theirs, and you only want the best for them. So faith is, it's life-giving for me and for my grandchildren.